Good morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John Becker, and with us this morning is Mayor Indya Kincannon of the city of Knoxville, celebrating her second term as mayor, just sworn in on Saturday. Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Also with us this morning, our panel. Don Bosch on the end there is a Democrat. He also runs his own law firm.
Good morning, John.
Good morning. Eddie Smith is a Republican, and he is a former state lawmaker. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you and good morning.
Mayor, let's talk about your message to the people of Knoxville and what you announced about your second term in your speech.
Well, one thing that I want to just say is I'm so pleased to have another 4 years. And when I think of the first 4 years, it went by really quickly. So 4 years is 1,460 days. And so one of the messages in my second term is that I'm going to number the days and use them to lead with a heart of wisdom. And that's going to be moving towards greater public safety and more affordable housing.
The biggest part of your budget is public safety. What's your priority heading into your second term in regards to public safety?
Well, first of all, I'm really pleased that our violent crime rate has dropped a lot. Homicides are down 35% this year since last year. So I want to keep fighting crime and having crime go down as it has been. I want to make sure that our police department has the resources they need, including staff. So I want to get up to our full authorized force. And I want to build a brand new fire station in Burlington in the heart of East Knoxville.
So, Indya, while we're on law enforcement early, the staffing numbers at KPD, and primarily the uniforms on the street, but all the way across all divisions, are abysmally low. And I know from working with those folks on a regular basis, their morale, the street officers, it's very low. They're working incredible hours, incredible times. There's some dissension amongst command staff and patrol officers, but the real problem seems to be we just can't get the applicants. You don't have a lot more room to raise the salaries, and they're competitive now. I wouldn't say that they're great, but they are competitive. Mm-hmm. What do we do to staff up to levels that create a safer community? Because we're not there right now.
Right. Well, it is an issue, and that's a high priority for me and for Chief Noel. So a couple things is, first, I did increase their pay, record amounts of a salary increase, not just for new hires, but for people who have 10 years, 15 years, 20 years experience, because one thing to keep our numbers up is to retain the people we already have who are very experienced. Another thing to do is just continue to recruit. We used to rely heavily on people coming to us, and for many years, and I'm not sure why, they didn't even have police academies, so they weren't creating, they weren't bringing new people on board. We have hired, I think, close to 80 new officers since I've taken office, and we're going to have 3 academies in 2024, and we're going to continue to recruit with competitive wages, but also knowing that you can be in a city that supports law enforcement and also is big enough that you have a wide variety of career paths within the department.
What do you say to the attrition rate? Because for every officer we're bringing in, it seems another one is leaving, and attrition's natural in any large organization, but it seems in my time here unusually high right now.
Well, it's a labor market issue, and it's affecting police departments across the country. We have to compete with, say, Y-12, which is expanding and hiring, and in those federal jobs, although I think they're less interesting and more tedious, they do pay like $20,000 more for a security officer role. So it's challenging. I won't deny that, but I think we have great leadership. We just got the Public Safety Partnership Grant, and I think that we are hiring new people all the time. So I think that we're on a positive trajectory.
And Mayor, one of the things that you mentioned, the second part of that, which will feed into Don's original question, which is affordable housing, but also getting more people that own houses that are paying into the city coffers, because you can either tax the people more or you can grow your tax base. And I heard, one of the things you're talking about is really trying to grow that tax base.
Yeah, absolutely. You may be familiar with some of our land use proposals. Middle housing is one of them that I am eager to bring to City Council in January. And that it's a recognition that the city is already pretty well developed. And so how do we expand our tax base with places that already have sidewalks sidewalks, already have sewer, already have access to the bus lines. And so using the land that we have in a more gentle density, and also public-private partnerships. We recently announced that I'm going to be expanding a redevelopment area along the 3 miles of Magnolia Avenue corridor from the stadium all the way to Chilhowie Park. And those are opportunities to catalyze more private investment in parts of the city that need the investment and already have the infrastructure.
And Mayor, for people who need a better definition of middle housing, the missing middle as it's been called, explain the impact on density that it has.
Yeah, well, middle housing is merely restoring a type of housing that used to be very commonplace. So you have single-family detached homes, and then you have apartment complexes, 50 or more homes within them. But what's missing is the middle. So houses that have duplexes or triplexes or fourplexes, cottage courts, townhomes, row houses. So you get more households on the same amount of land. It's more sustainable, and guess what? It's what people want, because at any given time of your life, you might not want a huge yard and need 4 bedrooms. Maybe you're just starting out, or maybe you're reaching retirement, you're an empty nester, and 2 bedrooms nearby a park where you can walk to a coffee shop is just what you want.
But we're not talking about high-density housing, which historically, I grew up in St. Louis, where we had a real high-density housing problem with Pruitt-Igoe and Cabrini Green, and we even had it here in Knoxville and removed some of it. We're not talking about that kind of housing.
This is not Pruitt-Igoe housing. It's not public housing. It's actually just empowering property owners to have more flexibility with how they develop their own property. No one will be required to create a duplex or triplex, but they will have the enabling authority to do so inside the traditional neighborhoods of Knoxville.
And, one of the things that I appreciate, as John said, Republican side, so I just want to appreciate is the fact that how slow you've gone through this process, because, serving on the Planning Commission, it's come before us. You've sought a lot of input. So, I think that the viewers need to know that this isn't something that's being rushed, but it's taken a whole lot of input from the community as we're looking at how to solve, because there is a housing crisis in our community. A lot of people are looking, but the median price has gone up where it's really unaffordable for what's out there right now. So trying to find something that fits in that middle that people can afford is something important as well.
Absolutely. We need more housing at all price points, because there are people who want to buy a $500,000 house and there's none available, so they're buying houses for $250,000, and then the people who can only just barely afford that have nothing to buy, and then they're crowding out the renters. It's a big problem. We need to increase our housing supply. I'm just recently expanding our plans, reviews, and inspections team to facilitate construction of more new housing. We have a lot of big plans for increasing the housing supply in Knoxville in my second term.
And again, rent is another issue. You touched on it, and you touched on it, but that has really exploded in Knoxville. We are in the upper tier of growth when it comes to rent, but you've had to emphasize at many a public meeting, you have no ability to cap that.
Right. We are not allowed to do any kind of rent control in the state of Tennessee. But what we are going to do is offer carrots. So there's a phenomenon. Most of the housing in Knoxville, over 70%, is 30 years older or more. So we're going to be offering an incentive to property owners. If you own a property that's 30 years older or more, that's apartments. If you want to improve your property, renovations and whatnot, but not have your property taxes go up, we will give you an incentive. So keep the apartment rental rates low and freeze your taxes for a given amount of period. And so it's an incentive, it's a carrot. It's called naturally occurring affordable housing, and it's a way to preserve that so incomes can catch up with rental increases.
Sort of a twist on the TIF program.
Yeah, but for rental properties.
Right.
We've got to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee. We're going to be back with more of Mayor Kincannon and her vision for her second term as we continue on Inside Tennessee this Sunday morning.